All right, what's up everyone? So we just want to go ahead and do a quick little video of the SSL UF8 with third-party plugins. A lot of people have asked about how it works with the third-party plugins, and in the original video we showcased the UF8 with the native plugins within Pro Tools. That being said,
Jake of Music 70 has asked, would I be able to use the faders to control modulation, expression, and volume in VST libraries installed on Cubase 10.5 like Native Instrument Complete, Hollywood Strings, and Spitfire?
So unfortunately, Jake, we did go ahead for you and we tried to use the native instruments with the UF8. Now, if you look at the screen here, if we do something as simple as native instruments, like their LA2A emulation or DB160 or even the 1176, it works just fine. Well, not just fine. We'll show you a case it for you real quick. It brings up about half of the plugin parameters. So you have release, ratio, your mix, and that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually let you do the input or the output or your attack. For some reason, it's missing half of the information from the plugin. So you get half the information, you don't get the other half. So I would say that's kind of a bust in my book. It doesn't work. I would call it it doesn't work with native instruments. Now, as far as your expression pedals and volumes, everything else, if you were to go into complete control, let's see here, we'll bring up complete control. This isn't an instrument track, probably won't actually bring this up, but it did. So when you come into here and you actually, let's say you did this properly and you created an instrument track and you brought up your complete control, it recognizes that there is a plugin there, in that you'll see different parameters come up right here and you'll see that there's 81 available pages, but other than that, you cannot control anything within complete control. So
yeah, it will not recognize anything.
It won't recognize it. So to answer your question, no, it does not. In my book, it does not work with native instruments.
Yep. And Tommy Verikai, hopefully I didn't screw that name up there, pretty much had the same question about controlling Contact and other plugins that have expression and dynamics.
So
controlling. So
that's a no. You have to actually have a native instrument controller like the S88 or S61 or anything else.
We have Gaz Mellon. Cheers. Could you show it work with third-party plugins?
Cool.
Well, yes, we can.
Yeah.
Some of the examples that he used, as we just answered, was Contact. Contact, as of right now, no. Unfortunately, we do not have FabFilter just yet. And Omnisphere.
So I do apologize. So everything that you asked for, we do not have. While we have a laundry list of plugins here, as you can see on the screen, we actually do not have those particular ones that you commented on. So sorry about that. Now, I will say that of the ones that we have, a vast majority of them, they work exactly the same as the native plugins. So, for example, let's go to Waves. Waves is a massively popular, I guess, brand you would call it for plugins. Let's just bring up something simple here. A lot of people, CLA seems to be a popular one, so we'll bring up the CLA 76. All right, we'll go here. It's on plugin slot number 3, so we'll bring up number 3. As you can see here, you have input, output, attack, and release. And if you look at the screen, they work exactly as you would hope that they would work, right? And for this particular plugin, that's it. All you get is highlighted in red right here. That's what you get, is your main plugin parameters. Let's bring up another plugin from Waves just to showcase this real quick. Another popular one is a Pultec replica. Or I guess not a Pultec, but a Putec, sorry. Let's bring this one up. So hit 3 again, and our first thing that we have right here to control our boost, to control our attack. Same thing with our high boost. This is actually our bandwidth, controlling the bell, and then our attenuation of the highs. For this particular one, That's all you get is these 2 pages. So you can control your output gain, you can control your low and your high, as well as your bandwidth. Once again, everything that comes up in the red is what you can actually control. Moving on from, and that's the same thing with all the different Waves plugins. It works exactly the same.
Yep.
So moving on from Waves, we will go to SSL. All right, so SSL, just bring up their compressor real quick. Same thing, you got your attack, your release, your ratio, your threshold. All right, everything emulating an actual piece of outboard gear that you'd want to reach for and actually touch a real knob. And it does everything. So SSL works, so Waves and SSL work exactly the same as the native plugins. Moving on to Slate Digital. Slate Digital works just as good. We'll bring up the mix rack because this is a little bit more in depth. You want to go ahead and set this up, Mr. Nicky, how you did this? Because this one, Slate Digital gets a little bit more involved.
It does. And real quick, Mike, just to kind of go off a little bit, can you show me on the UF8, how do I select the plugin? So if I have 3 different or 4 different plugins set up on one track, how would I bring those up independently?
Of course. So over here, you can see that there are 3 plugins loaded up in our inserts slots A through E. So you have plugin 1, currently bypassed, plugin 2, and that's just simply hitting the button with the button. Plugin 3, and you can just bounce back and forth like this, real smooth.
Oh, that's pretty sick. And I just bring that up, I guess, just by using the plugin button here. Okay.
Yep. So if we're in our standard mode right here, let's say we click out of this, and you're right here, you're grabbing your faders, you're adjusting your levels, and you're like, hey, you know what? I want to reach for a plugin.
Right.
You simply select your track. You can change your track, and this will correspond as you see on the screen. It will correspond. So right now we'll go to our drum sub mix, and we'll do the plugin.
Cool.
Plugin 3.
And now it gives you that option. Okay.
1, 2, 3. So you just hit the plugin button over here.
Awesome. Thanks, man. So Slate plugins, they're awesome, as we all know. So we're just going to go ahead and just keep this first. What do they call it? A dream strip. Right? Is that what they call it? I'm pretty sure that's what they call it.
It says vibe strip.
Well, this is but I think I don't know. I'm not down with the lingo. Anywho, yeah, go ahead and let's go ahead and just showcase what we have up here already. So we're already on plugin 3. Right now we got the London preamp on.
All right, so over here, all the way over to the right side, we see 1 through 32. So it's 32 different pages right here that we could choose from. What we did figure out is if you see over here how it says A will correspond to the first plugin. And if we start, so right here, this is actually turning switches on and off, turning our rotary knobs. If we go over here, it's going to control the second half of the parameters. Once we get over to B, okay, B should start controlling the second plugin. Same thing, we'll scroll over to C. C is going to control the third plugin. Go all the way over to D, and is D gonna work? Maybe D is not gonna work.
Well, I did delete something, so I wonder.
You did delete something.
Happened.
All right, so that's a good. No, that's a good point to talk about. So, if you delete stuff, however
you move stuff around.
Yeah. So Slate is kind of finicky in here because however you first bring up that channel strip is how it assigns it to here. Right. And if you delete stuff and move stuff around, Slate gets kind of finicky within here and can kind of be tricky to use. So those first 3 we didn't change, so they worked just fine. But once he deleted something, so
now
the
it
perfect
still
example
corresponds with F because there were a couple that we did.
There was a couple, yeah. So when it first brought it up, there was 5 plugins, right? 5 or 6. So as we deleted those other ones, it did not recognize in the UF8 that we deleted those, and what it first brought it up as was where it was assigned, so we had to scroll. Now for this particular one, we have to go all the way from C, all the way over to F, but once we go over to F, now everything's working exactly fine.
And look on the screen too, like if you do for some reason find yourself in that situation, always look for these blue indicators down here. So if you were to go back to this next plugin here,
cool. We'll go over to
you'll see it's going to start. It's going to bring up the blue.
Yeah, see how those little dots highlight on there where you're at.
Yep. So that's how, I mean, at least that's a good indicator to know that it's selected. So now that we know that information here, Mike, let's go through. I'm going to delete all these, and let's just throw some stuff in here.
Why don't you go to that preset that we made a little bit earlier?
Yeah. The UF8
let's go to the UF8 preset. We made this a little bit earlier.
Okay.
So now let's.
Now I want to test that theory too.
So now you can see. Look at the power button right there on the screen. See how the power button is selected in blue, and so now this is C. So these are all working just fine. And so we have A is now on our first plugin, and everything should start turning on and off exactly as you would expect. Now let's roll over to B. B starts messing with our compressor, and C is right on our revival. So everything works great.
So let's see what happens.
With Slate.
If I delete this, I'm going to throw an area cue on here. Is C going to be a thing, or is it going to be D now?
I don't know. No, it put it right there in a C.
C. I'm putting it in the front. Does it stay C or does it go to A?
It did, because look at the blue. Look at the blue. See how the blue indicator? So even though you moved it, so that's where this UF8 gets kind of tricky.
So it corresponds in exactly how you
load those
modules in.
Yep. How you load them.
So if you get to a point where you're like, I think the compressor is going to be better up front, just know that that's now B, because that was the second module.
Because that was the second module. Just to test that real quick, here's B. It highlights everything, and just like he said, it's right there. It remains where it was first loaded into the system.
So that's Slate Digital right there. That's the one that was a little bit finicky, but again, at least I think all the parameters do work so far. Yeah. So I would still say it works just fine. So it's just a little bit of a learning curve.
All right, let's move on from Slate Digital. And what do we have next? We do have Sound Toys. Unfortunately, everyone, this is, if you're following us on our other videos, we just set up a new computer, and our Sound Toys are still a little wacky off in the Mac land, I guess you would call it. It's not loaded to the new computer properly yet, so we'll bypass that for now. Mic DSP, though, if you're out there and you have Mic DSP, it works just fine and dandy. So let's go to a channel G. I'm assuming channel G is probably the SSL console G, because that's G and E are usually anything named after that is going after
that's a common theme with these.
Going after an SSL, right? So your input, as you can see, input, output, everything is working just fine. So Mic DSP works absolutely flawless.
Yeah, so far I feel like that's the one that seemed to me work the best.
Mic DSP does, but you know why? Because Mic DSP is old. Is I don't want to say old, but Mic DSP is a more of a legacy plugin. They've been around for a long time, just like Avid. So
yeah,
kind of would make sense that this would work exactly the same as the Avid native plugins.
Maybe their algorithm just doesn't change. I don't freaking know, and it just I don't know. I'm not going to sound smart.
So. Let's move on to something. Oh, we have Isotope here. Isotope does not work. So unfortunately, the ozone, at least the Isotope ozone, did not work for us. It recognizes that there's something there, but it actually doesn't work and control the parameters. One thing we haven't tried is Joey Sturgis. So let's try JST. Let's try a gain reduction. See what happens. Oh wow.
Lo-fi is working.
The lo-fi
on and off.
On and off's working. The mix is working. Okay, so I would say JST is a go. Other than
I don't know.
Okay, so there's
quite a few parameters.
Okay, so there's 2 pages on here, page 1 and page 2. But that's worth noting is all you get is your input gain, your mix, your on and off, and lo-fi. You actually do not get your slave body and your gain. So you're missing 3 parameters right here for some reason that do not talk to it. So that's interesting. You get 50%. So Joey Sturgis is 50-50.
Right.
I would say that's a bust, because if it doesn't work all the way through, then it's a bust.
Of course.
In my book. So JST is a no-go.
What about kilohertz?
Kilohertz, yeah. Let's try it. Let's bring up a delay.
Oh, so you're able to switch back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Feedback,
We're on to something here. On, off. But same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Same thing. You know, you get one page and one page only. So that's a bust.
No, I definitely think there's going to be updates in the near future. God, I can't talk. With this DAW controller being so new, it's still, you got to give time for these companies to catch up. And I guess I'm assuming that their algorithm has to match with, their algorithm, or UF8 needs to get their algorithm to match with. Because I don't know if this is a thing or not. Maybe it's just me, but I would think that all these companies' parameters and their algorithms are set pretty similar. So could it be a fault on the module? Could be. Or could it be a fault on the company? Could be. We don't know.
Or not even necessarily a fault. Just
it's just trying to catch up with times,
everything's not talking to each other.
Right.
The way that it should be, I guess. So if you're out there and you have a plugin that we don't have, I'm sorry to let you down. I wish we had those plugins. Mm-hmm. We spend a lot of time mixing with outboard gear. We don't mix as heavily with plugins. We do have a lot of plugins, but we mix a lot with outboard gear. So if you have one of those plugins that we do have and it worked on the video demonstration, then awesome. Glad we could showcase that. If something that we don't have, I do apologize. And yeah.
Thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Make sure you like and comment.
Yeah, subscribe.
Subscribesies and share.
And if you do have a plugin that we have and you want to see us go more in depth and actually mix with it, drop us a line in the comment. Drop us a comment, I guess, in the line below. Sorry. And
it's been a long day.
It's been a long day, and we will make another video showcasing us mixing that right there. As always, you guys have been great. We are Pennyfire Records. Bye.
Bye.